Welcome to the Getting High on Leadership series featuring Paul Karasik. Paul is one of America's top management consultants helping leaders succeed. He is the author of 9 books, including Sweet Persuasion and Brilliant Thoughts and Provocative Questions. His insights appear regularly in major publications, and he is one of the most sought-after executive coaches. Paul founded the American Seminar Leaders Association and the Psychedelic Institute of Los Angeles. He is a popular speaker at national conferences and has been on stages across all 50 states and internationally. Paul's work addresses the question, how can we transform conflict in business into collaboration? With decades of experience in management, leadership, and psychedelics, he brings a unique perspective on personal and societal growth. In this series, we'll be discussing his latest book, Getting High on Leadership, The Leader's Guide to Higher Consciousness. We'll be exploring the concepts, techniques, and mindset required to revolutionize leadership. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the series, Getting High on Leadership. I'm your host, Rob Sanchez, and we are joined by the author of the book, Paul Karasik. Paul and I are spending some time in each chapter discussing conscious leadership and how the chapter continues to build that path towards more aware leadership style. Today's section is letting go. And this section can be found on page 97. And I think we've been discussing some difficult aspects of leadership, and it doesn't change with this section. As we get into letting it go or letting things go, Paul, how can we approach that with a conscious mindset?
Well, I think what the title of the chapter begs the question, what are we letting go of? Right? And why is letting go important? And really, this chapter is about the ego. It's about the need to be right. It's about how negative of an effect that creates on the end result, how divisive it is to work on the team, with the team, to just say, it's my way or the highway. That's my position on that. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is the best, sometimes it's not. And so we have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And know when to take that position, and know when to run. What is that? What is the truth of the situation, and what is just my ego saying, I came up with this idea and it's a great idea and we should implement this and I'm the boss, so we're just doing it. And everybody's like, no, this thing it's not working. It's not good. And no.
You're no longer talking about doing a right or wrong thing. Now it's just become an ego battle.
100%. They just want to, they just want to be right. And that becomes more important. And so being right is a problem for a leader. The need to be right. The need to be recognized in some way as the source of great ideas. And, these are all intertwined. This whole course is not really a linear thing because they're all related. And we talked earlier about the whole idea of the leader getting small to play big, and the leader taking a role where they're just a humble member of the team, even though they do things that look different and outside the team. And to
it still is just another role on that same team. It's not some other level. There's no hierarchy. Actually, it's just a different realm of responsibility or a different purview.
So who do you let go to? You let go to the people who are great at what they do. So I may be involved with business stuff, and then it comes to graphic design. I have a great graphic design guy. I don't have to, I can give him some ideas or direction or things like that, and then just let him go. It's not my no, I like those colors. We have to stick with those colors. These are the colors that I like, and the font should be 14 point. You don't even know graphic design. You don't know what's good. You
There's
like
a certain
that
amount
why?
of delegation here. Yeah.
Yeah, you like pink, so you want pink. Like, Is that the best color for the situation? Like, you're not even like evaluating.
Is that why you hired a graphic designer, so that you could tell the graphic designer
That-
then what color to make the thing?
That's what they do. That's what bad leaders do all the time.
And you'd be surprised how often it happens, even in the smallest of projects, where it can tangent a project pretty severely off of its course. To get stuck on that, where we had to go left for a while because such and such had to be right for a few months, or we had this one change that was just, it was deemed absolutely necessary. There was no argument. So now we're a month late on everything else we planned.
Right.
It can slip into that quickly.
It's such an obstacle, inefficiency, the inability to let go and just move on it. And even if the other person isn't as good or better than your idea, you still let go. Because that person, that's their area. Like, you have to stick to your lane.
And kind of realizing that everyone on the team has the same intentions, right? It's a team. They're all trying to accomplish the same thing. Mm-hmm. So sometimes as the leader, or sometimes as any role in a team, it is the leaderly thing to do, to step back and look at all of those situations, look at your own ego, what you're holding on to maybe, and what your team is holding on to as well, because sometimes that needs to be acknowledged, or sometimes maybe just bluntly addressed.
And then getting to know that when you let go, it's not the end of the world. And when you delegate,
it's not giving up entirely. It's actually freeing. It's not ending anything.
No, it's. But what I would ask the leaders to do when you're taking that position, when you're holding that position, is it ego, or is it just because you really believe that whatever your idea is or whatever you're suggesting is the best thing? Now, I know you believe it is, or you wouldn't be adamant about supporting that. But do you know for sure that it really is? No. You don't know that your idea is the best. You may think it is, but usually you don't know until you try things. Like, if I had this 5, let's do it in blue, let's do it in red, let's see how people respond to it, and no, it should be in blue. I know it should be blue. Blue's the right color.
Right. And you need to have time to actually paint it any color to get some response from the people who need it, or who are going to see it, rather than spend that time just arguing about what color to paint or what time of the day to paint, or those kinds of things as well.
Oh, that's even, now you're getting into the ridiculousness of not letting go.
Like the logistics. Now, not only do we have to paint it blue, but it needs to be painted in the morning on a Tuesday, and the weather has to be, it starts getting to be, are we accomplishing a job here? Or are we building a dream?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But ego is, we've talked about it so much. Ego is the impediment to consciousness. And nothing more exudes ego than holding a position, by demanding that I'm right and you're wrong. Because, like I said, in most cases, you don't know you're right. You just think you're right. So you're moving from a falsehood to begin with, that you're right. You don't know you're right. The other person thinks they're right.
Letting go absolves you from that.
Yeah.
It almost absolves you from that potential, from assuming that the truth, and it actually admits some humility. That H word we've brought up probably 40 times already throughout the series. It's surprising how often it rears its head in conscious leadership.
Yeah. Well, I always say the greatest thing a conscious leader can say is, I don't know. That's really the most powerful thing you can say internally to yourself. Do I really know the answer to this? And you begin to listen to other people, and then when you begin to listen to other people, you find that a certain proportion of the time they're absolutely correct, and they were right, and you were wrong.
Or that some combination of everyone's thoughts is actually the right solution, right?
Yeah. I mean,
even
everybody's
finding
right.
out that everyone's a little right in
Yeah.
that argument or that conversation. Letting go is needed to even consider that.
Well, like the
Yeah.
old expression, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And, so somebody's going to be right in the group, even if they're mostly wrong, but they'll be right too. But to be, like you said, humble, have some humility, know that you don't have all the answers, be comfortable with saying, I don't know. Allow for that. Oh, we've been doing it this way. I've always done it that way. Like you never get anywhere with that. You have to allow these new ideas, new approaches, new perspectives, and you have to be open to them. And if you keep taking the same position, there's no real progress of any
Right. You're not
kind.
going to be able to adapt or innovate at all because you're
No,
still doing everything the way that it was a decade ago.
I see that in so many companies that nothing's really changed. I mean, they just do new versions of the same old stuff. I remember one of my books called Sweet Persuasion, and it was a big success, and we sold it to like 4 different publishers. And he said, I want you to write another book. And I go, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. He goes, I said, what's it on? He goes, same thing, but different. In other words, he didn't want something new.
Yeah.
He just wanted the same thing. Like, I wanted something new, but he wanted the same thing, only different.
Right.
Because there's no newness coming from where you've been. It's got to be divorced from that. And so that's either got to come through somebody else or something else for something or for that new idea to come. When you hold a position, there's no innovation. There's very little
Yeah.
innovation.
Yeah, so that letting go is not only for you personally, it's for the good of your project and for the
Oh,
good of your
yeah.
business or your team that you're leading.
And it feels good. It really does feel good when you don't think you know everything,
Yeah, yeah.
And,
There's
and
that refreshing unknown there. And
yeah,
rather, if you think you know everything, the unknown becomes terrifying instead of that refreshing common denominator across the board.
mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I wrote a song a while back called Share the Mystery. The mystery is where all the beauty comes from, all the spontaneity comes from, all of the innovation, all the creativity is from the mystery, the unknown. The known is only the past. So none of the really good, great, brilliant stuff is going to come from the past. You've already done the past. It's got to come from some other source. And that's consciousness and other people. And other people. So we can access our own, but it's that team thing. Again, a leader's not a leader unless he has people following him. And if you're in that position, what I'm saying in this chapter is work on letting go. Work on accepting the fact that you're going to let go, lose your position, and it's going to be worse than your idea, and live with it. Live with it. Sometimes it'll be better. Sometimes it'll be the same. But the point was you feel better, you accept them, they accept you. Now you've creating collaboration on the team, and you rock. And you rock because everybody's working together for the same outcomes.
All rowing in the same direction then. Surprising how
Yeah.
that can happen with just these smaller actions. Smaller, I say, it may be in consideration, but massive impact.
In my 30 years of work with corporations, all inefficiencies, all lack of production, all failure, almost all that I've ever seen has been because leaders are not willing to let go.
Yeah, they're hanging on to something. I definitely would agree of seeing some projects that went south or companies that no longer exist among us today. I think And at the center of those stories is someone hanging on for dear life.
Yep.
And, pulling a constant U-turn, which just becomes a downward spiral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everybody hates it. Everybody in the group.
It can be exhausting to be part of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially
Yeah.
knowing, if you know that you have a leader or someone that you're working with that's not going to let go, and then realizing it's another one of those situations again.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you don't want to communicate with that person any longer, right? And that starts making other problems.
Right.
So yeah, get right to the core of it. Let it go. If you realize the ego is there, acknowledge that and have some awareness. Right. I think that's the takeaway point.
Yeah,
And
you don't really have to discipline yourself on this. Just be conscious of your behavior, and you'll stop naturally. If you just watch yourself taking a position, no discipline needed, no technique, you'll realize how fruitless it is, and how actually it's going in the wrong direction. And you'll do it less and less and less. Trust me, I know, because I've worked on it. It's we're all
everyone's working on it, right?
yeah, we just think we're right and we have the best ideas, and I just found sometimes you do, but a lot of times you don't. And if you hire the right people, it's better to defer and get that team and get the collegial kind of partnership going. The results go off the charts, and it's so much more fun to work within groups like that, as opposed to where everybody's taking a position and holding it.
You can actually rely on the rest of your team instead of have to
100%.
Defend yourself against them.
Because they're all letting their ego go and saying what's the best thing for the enterprise.
Yeah, which is that magic point. I think we'd like to get everyone to that point of consciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. No, thank you for the wisdom here today, Paul, and thank you all to our viewers and listeners. As always, you can grab a copy of the book from the link down below. Feel free to pick and choose from any title in the series that catches your interest, or just join us sequentially, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Getting High on Leadership series. If you have any questions, you can comment below or send them in via email to paul@paulkarasik.com. Follow him on Instagram at PK_the conversation. Find out more at wholesalerinstitute.com and psychedelic-awakening.com. The Getting High on Leadership series is produced by Rob Sanchez and Apartment 113, which can be found at apartment113.com and followed on Instagram at APT_113.